everybody. You got Rich Norton here with RMS, Sales Training and Inspiration, the show that is here to motivate you, inspire you, the show that's here to teach you all about how to become a better salesperson and how to become more successful. Now, as we become more successful, it's important that we understand about finances. And I'm going to dedicate this show all about that because unfortunately, I see this a lot in the business world. I see that as people are making more money, and it's natural, they spend more money. And you've heard me talk about this a lot where I say, all flash and no cash. And they look successful on the outside, but the bottom line is they become broke at a higher level. And we see that all the time. It's a natural thing, especially if you come from a background where you didn't make a lot of money and then all of a sudden you're making a lot of money. It's natural to spend more money. I see this happen. I was watching a video the other day and I read about this a lot where most NFL players, most NBA players, most major league players, unfortunately, they sign these big contracts. That's not unfortunate, but the unfortunate part of that is they become, I heard this thing was like 60% of them become broke as time goes on, and many of them have to file bankruptcy. And the problem is when you ask the question, it's like, man, those guys make millions of dollars, but then they don't have any proper planning. They get in with the bad investments. They buy all the cars, all the houses. They live the luxurious lifestyle. They have the big entourage. All of a sudden, when you're making a lot more money, friends and family come around, and people that you may have not seen or known, all of a sudden they're your friends. And that's natural. So these things happen. So it's important that no matter what level that you're reaching, it's important that you put together a plan. So I'm going to dedicate this show to having a good stewardship and having a good financial plan. And I will let you know up front my background, because I made a lot of money in my lifetime, spent a lot of money, blew a lot of money. In fact, when I started in this business 20 years ago, a little over 20 years ago, I was broke, period. I didn't have nothing. I was close to homeless. That's how bad it was. Car repossessed, owed $98,000 to the IRS, really not in a good financial situation. And I made a decision that I'm going to be changing the way that I looked at money. Thankfully, I got this book called The Total Money Makeover by Dave Ramsey, and the majority of the things that we're going to be talking about today will be focusing on those areas. Now people say, well, you're going to talk about a get-rich-quick scheme. I want to make millions of dollars. That's what I want to hear about. Well, that's great. It's important to make a lot of money. That's wonderful. That's a good plan. It's good to have a good financial goals. But the question is, what are you going to do? What kind of plan do you have? Are you going to set yourself up for success? Are you going to build wealth? What is your plan? And that's the important part, because unfortunately, most people, they're all over the map. Should I pay this off? Should I invest? Should I get an IRA? Should I buy a house? Should I do this? And they're all over the map without having a plan. So the good news today, glad to share this with you. I am going to take you through step by step on what you need to do and what you should do in order to be able to build wealth, financial wealth, if your goal is to get to a point in life where you can become financially independent. I'm going to teach you some of the skills that I've learned over the years. And I'm excited to share this because I'll tell you this, I have a passion for this, I really do. And I tell this to all of our guys all the time, because it's easy to get those brand new cars and lease cars and pay all these big payments and get really into debt and look real successful and stress yourself out. Don't do that. Let's get on the right plan and let's do it the right way. It's called living like no one else, so you can eventually live like no one else. And I'll talk a little bit more about that as we continue. So let's take a short break. Let's dive into it. I hope to get this done in one show. If it takes 2 shows, whatever it takes, I don't want to rush through it. So let's make it happen. Break out your notebooks. I will be right back. Hey everybody, you have Rich Norton here from Retriever Merchant Solutions. Do you consider yourself a winner? Do you consider yourself a champion? Do you consider yourself the best? Are you that type of person that likes to strive for the best? You like being number one, you're competitive, you like being in a positive environment where you can go as far as you want to go? Well, that's what we have at Retriever Merchant Solutions, an opportunity where you can be big as you want to be. You can grow as high as you want to go. You can go as far as you want to go. That's the opportunity that we have here with RMS. So if you feel that you're that type of person, you like meeting people, you're not afraid of rejection, you understand that the key to success is having a right attitude and going to work and never looking back and never giving up and making a commitment to do this 1,000%, that's going to give you success. So if I just described you, I want you to give me a call. Rich Norton, 904-434-4635. You're going to see the email right at the bottom of the screen. We will teach you this business. You may say, well, I've never done that type of business. We will teach you. We will train you. We will give you all the necessary tools on what it takes to become successful. And then we can celebrate your success and congratulate you for being a winner with RMS. I look forward to that. Give me a call. All right, I am right back here with you. Very, very pumped up, very excited to share this with you. And like I said, I have a passion for this. I really am excited about sharing all of this with you. And again, it is not a get-rich-quick scheme. It's all about putting together a plan. So what do? I'm glad you brought that up. What's step one? If you were to say, what do I need to do to get myself on the right track? Glad you asked that. The first step, this is what you're going to do. This is step one. You're going to set aside what I call an emergency fund, and what Dave Ramsey has talked about, and many, many other financial advisors have talked about that. Now, I'm not one, but I'll tell you, I've been broke, I have money, I know what not to do, and I've learned what to do. So that's helped me to get to where I'm at today. So what you're going to do, step one, you're going to get an emergency fund, and you're going to put $1,000 into that emergency fund. That's step one. That's important that you do that. This way, you can get rid of the credit cards, and we'll talk a little bit about that, but you're going to put $1,000 into this fund. That means it's not on a debit card. You don't have access to it. You do have access, but it's not where it's at your immediate right there for you. Because what ends up happening, people do that, and it's amazing how everything just happens to be an emergency. I'm hungry. That's an emergency. I'm going to get it out of that. That's not an emergency. I need to go get this done, or I need to go on vacation, or I need to, that's not an emergency. You put aside $1,000. So if something breaks down, car breaks down, washing machine breaks down, you need a new tire, something happens, it's an emergency, an unexpected circumstance that happens, that's your emergency. And if you have to dip into that for that emergency, you take $400 out to pay for that car that broke down. What do you need to do? You only got $600 in there. That means you got to put $400 back into that $1,000 emergency fund. Put your hand up, make the pledge. That's step one. Are you committed to doing that if you've not done that already? You are in stage one right now. Great, we're making some progress. Step two, well, here we go. You are going to line up all your debts that you have. It is time to make the commitment, and my goal for you, and I hope this goal is for yourself, you are going to make the commitment that I'm going to be debt free. debt-free, not owing any money to any credit card companies, to any loans, to car payments, all that stuff, except the house payment if you own a home right now. So that's your next step. You're going to make a commitment to become debt-free. You're going to take your largest, all the things that you owe, everything that you owe, you put your largest right at the top. So if that's a car payment, if that's a student loan, whatever it may be, write it at the top. And then you itemize them from the biggest all the way down to the smallest. This applies to everybody. I'm not just talking about people making a lot of money. No matter what level that you're at in life, this will help every single person. Now, the more money that you make, the quicker it'll get done. Bringing more money in is what that's all about. So you write it all out, and you got everything written out. Now, when you're looking at that, in the beginning, you might say, man, I owe a lot of money. Well, guess what? I've been there. I know what it's all about. I had to write that thing right at the top. IRS bill, $98,000, whatever that number was. Wrote out all the car payment, wrote everything out. It's important that you make a commitment to do that. So you say, what am I going to do with that? What's my next step? How do I start becoming debt-free? Well, here's what you're going to do. You are going to make a commitment, and you're going to write all your minimum payments that you have, right from the top all the way down to the bottom. And let's say your lowest thing that you owe might be an old medical bill that you owe $200 on, right? And you've been making $10 a month, whatever the payment is. Or maybe you didn't make anything on it. That's fine. Write them all out. You're making all the minimums. This is what Dave Ramsey calls the snowball effect. And it's important that you do that because when we're making progress, we start feeling good about the progress that we're making, and it encourages us to keep moving further. So the bottom thing that's on that list, the thing that you owe the least amount of money on, you're going to attack that. That's what you're going to throw all the money at. Everything else is minimum. Let's say that's a medical bill. So you're paying all the minimums, and then you go for that. Attack it, that's done. Once it's done, you cross it off the list. What do you do next? You move up to the next one. You attack that one. Once that one's done, move the list up. Every minimum all the way through, attack, until you become debt-free, except your house payment if you own a home at this point. Now, this applies to everyone. Again, if you make less money, it's going to take a little longer to do it, but it can and should and will be done if you make that commitment to do that. And then, once you've done that, you can have a big party, and you can stand on the mountaintop with your whole family, and you can scream, I am debt-free. I am completely debt-free. I have freedom. Because you've heard this, and it's in the Bible as well, a borrower is a slave to the lender. And there's a reason why they call it MasterCard, right, if you think about it. Now, I'm in the credit card processing business. I want people to use credit and debit cards. But some of you need to do some plastic surgery. You know what that means? You need to take those credit cards, start clipping them up, and get rid of them. And only use debit cards. Because when you do that, that means you can only spend what you have. And it's something called behavior change. That's what you need to make the commitment to do, is make a behavior change. Live like no one else, so eventually you can live and give like no one else. So you just accomplished a big step. That's huge. How long does that take? It's entirely up to you. The more money you make, it's a commitment, the quicker it's going to go. So make that decision, whatever it takes. And then once you're at that level, now we're going to graduate our emergency fund. So that means what you're going to do at this point, that $1,000 emergency fund, you're going to bump that up. And you're going to take 3 to 6 months of pay, all right? And you're going to put that into a separate emergency fund. Now again, emergencies, if emergencies happen. For example, anything could happen. We're fortunate in our business to make residual income. Many people took a whole year off with Retriever Merchant Solutions. That's wonderful. They were able to do that in the pandemic, and they still made residual income. So it got them through. That's one of the big blessings that we have in our business. But you never know. You never know what could happen. I mean, if anything that's taught us in this past year, anything could happen. Who would have ever thought that they would close the whole world down, right? And some areas are still closed. You know, some of the countries are still closed. Here we are a year later, and we're still talking about this. Thankfully, the majority of us are able to still get out there. We're being safe, we're taking the precautions, and we're working and making income. But what you're going to do at this level that we're talking about right now, you are going to take 3 to 6 months of living expenses, and you're going to put that into a separate account called your big emergency account. What does that mean? That means if you lost your income for 3 months, guess what? You don't have to panic. You don't have to go crazy. You don't have to wonder, what am I going to do? You're going to look at that and you're going to say, I've got the funds there. Whatever I need to do to figure this out and not be stressed out, not having to worry about charging up cards, taking out loans. If I have bad credit, I'm not going to be able to get the loan. Whatever it may be, we're not going to be thinking about credit anymore. We're thinking about building wealth. So that's your next step. That's your next stage into building financial wealth. I hope you guys are getting excited about this, because that's the plan, right? So instead of thinking, I got to do this, I got to do that, should I invest, should I do this, well, what do I need to do? I have to have a nice car, I need to pay $800 a month for a car. Forget about that. We're getting you on the right plan. So now we have our emergency fund fully vested for 3 to 6 months of what we would be earning. So whatever that may be, 30,000, 40,000, 50,000, maybe more, whatever your lifestyle is and whatever your expenses are. Where do we go to from there, you may ask? Well, I'm glad you brought that up. Now we're going to start thinking about investing right now. Why? Because we're debt free. We don't owe any money anymore. What a fantastic feeling. All right, so rather than doing all this at once, now we can make a commitment to do this. You are going to take 15% of your income that you have coming in, and you're going to invest it into long-term investments. I'm not talking about paying or playing the stock market. I don't play the stock market at all. What that is, that's called gambling, right? There's a reason why they call it day trading. It's gambling is what it is. I don't do that. What I do is I do mutual funds, I do long-term investments. It may go up, it may go down, but as time goes on, it's doing this, right? Doing that. I don't get all caught up in that, but here's what happens. For years, it shows that it keeps growing. Do you realize that if someone at the age of 20 years old put $250 to $300 a month away, by the time they're 65, they'd have $1 million put away with all the interest and everything else? That's just the way it works. That's been the proven method over the years. So you're going to take 15% of your income and you're going to start investing that. Here's a great program that I've done years ago. Years ago I started doing this. Not now that I'm making all kinds of, people say, well, you can do that. Even way back then, when I was fairly new in the business, I got myself what I call a SEP IRA. Perfect for business owners, perfect for independent contractors. I put away a certain amount, and now I built that up to where you can put up to $52,000 a year into that investment. Number one, you get to deduct it. Isn't that amazing? And it builds interest as time goes on. The amount of money that's been in there, it's amazing. When I look at what's happened, how much it's flourished, that's great. But I have other investments that I've done, and 15%. Make that commitment. Make that part of your life. Pay yourself Take care of yourself. Make sure you're doing this. You're debt-free. Now you're building a legacy for you and your family. Isn't this fantastic? It's awesome. It's exciting. It's something that you can feel really, really positive and really, really good about that. So we got through that stage. Here's another one. If you have kids, how am I going to pay for their college? I have to get this fund, that fund. You don't have to get all caught up in that. What kind of fund, the 529 fund, this fund. Some of those are good, some are not good. But if you just went into a nice, small, not a lot of risk investment, and you put money away for your kids for college, by the time they get to college, whatever their ages are, you may have to kind of accelerate that a little bit. You can start putting money away for college, so this time when they are ready to go to college, what an awesome feeling it is just to say, it's all paid for. Pick out the college that you want. It's all paid for. That's all part of proper planning. That's another stage. If you don't have kids or they're beyond the college age, well, guess what? You can move on to the next one. So you've gotten through that, and your next thing is, if you have a home, it's time to start thinking about paying the home off early. If you don't have a home yet, well, here's time to start think about purchasing a home. How do you do this? How do you purchase a home? What do you need to do to get started? Well, here's a plan that you want to do, and here's what you have to remember. When you purchase a home, your home, you have a choice. This is a choice that you're making. It can either be a curse or a blessing. It's all in the way that you do it. How many of you have ever heard the term house poor? Okay, how many of you may have been there before? House poor. And people say, I gotta buy a house. I deserve to buy a house. I need to buy a house. I have to buy a house. It's wonderful. It's not, it's a privilege. It really is. It's not a right. It really is a privilege. Nothing's owed to us. If you make a commitment and you do it the right way, this is the way you want to do it. A minimum of 20 to 25% down as the down payment on the house. Just quit thinking about this, no money down, pay this interest now and pay more later. That's what got us way in trouble back in 2007, 8, 9. You remember those times, right? Oh, don't worry, your house is going to keep growing, you can refinance it. Guess what? Houses went way down, people lost their you-know-what because of that. Invest in real estate, do all this, borrow, borrow, borrow. Eventually that catches up with you. 20 to 25% down, 15-year fixed mortgage. That's what you're going to do. 15 years, not 30 years, not variable interest, fixed mortgage with no early payoff. Make sure you have that in writing, and then make a commitment that you're going to pay a little bit more. You have your principal, you have your interest, you have your taxes and insurance. Make a commitment to add more towards that principal and pay that home off early. I'll tell you what, it's a great feeling to be able to sit in your home and say, you know what, this home is paid for right now. I pay taxes and insurance on it, but I don't have to pay anything for this home. And I've done that throughout the years, never, from not owning a home in Florida to up to this point having 4 homes right now. And I make the commitment, they're all paid for. That's my goal. They're all paid for. I don't want to have mortgages and have all the stresses of that. If I do, I'm going to pay them off as quick as possible. So I got a couple more. So this is going great. I didn't want to rush through it. We're going to take a short break. We're going to close the show, and I hope this is helping you. Make the commitment to do this the right way. I'll be right back. Hello everybody, Rich Norton here from RMS Sales Training and Inspiration. I want to thank you all for tuning into our shows. Most of our shows are recorded here live at Hands and Feet Foundation, which is a ministry that I serve in, and I'm very, very blessed to serve into this ministry. My wife and I come out here. She's out here every Thursday or Tuesday. She brings music out to everybody, and I come out usually with her on Saturdays, and we have church with everybody that comes out here. And we've been very fortunate, very blessed to come out here and serve in this ministry. This is a ministry that's near and dear to our hearts. We have a passion and we have a heart for the lost. We have a passion and a heart for people that are down and out. And the majority of the people that come here are homeless, been through some very difficult times, whether it's bad choices on their own or whether it's just circumstances. We just love on them and we help them get off the streets and we help them get into rehab for some people that are wanting to get clean. We send them to different places. So there's just wonderful things that are happening here at Hands and Feet Foundation. So if you'd like to learn more, you can go to handsandfeetfoundation.org. You can look them up on Facebook, Hands and Feet Westside, or you can come out and visit 7478 103rd Street, Jacksonville, Florida. If you'd like to come out and visit, or you'd like to give a donation, or you just like to come out and help serve, come and join us. It'd be fantastic to see you. You'll see me in my shorts and my t-shirt and my guitar and just having a great day. So we'd love for you to come out here as well. Thank you. Okay, so we are at the point right now, this is good stuff, where we've talked about all the different stages that you can go through. Now what you're going to do, you're debt-free, you have a house paid off, you've got long-term investments, you've got everything going on the right way, you worked the plan. Now you can live like no one else because you lived like no one else. That means you can reward yourself. If you want to go on a trip right now, you don't have to throw it all on the credit cards. You can go, right, because you did it the right way. You want to buy a new car, when you show up to that car place, you can say, and if they ask you, how are you going to finance this, you can say, do you guys take cash? Right? Oh, yeah, we do, right? You're going to write a check for, yeah, I don't finance anything. You can pick out what you want to do. You've done it the right way, but then you can build wealth and you can build a legacy, and then you can live, and the final thing is you can live and give like no one else. And that's the stage that I'm at in my life. Very, very blessed. And my whole philosophy is that all that I have is God's. It's all His. I just want to be a good steward. You've all heard the expression, you never see a U-Haul behind a hearse at all. You can't take it with you. Now, you don't want to have this reckless attitude. You can't take it with you, so I just spend everything. You want to make sure that you leave a legacy and that you give like no one else. There's no greater joy than giving. And I've set a goal, and you've heard me talk about this. I want to give $1 million away a year. I love to be able to give to charities, give to the churches, give to the ministries. I don't brag about that. I know where the blessings come from. They're all His anyway, and I want to make sure that I'm a good steward. And I make a commitment, and when I did that many, many years ago, 10% or more is going to be given back to different charities, churches, tithing. You've heard me talk about that. Give, give, give. God loves a cheerful giver, and there's nothing like it. So when you get to that point in your life, and you should do it anyway, make a commitment, 10%, walk on faith, do all that as you're going through this. That's biblical. The floodgates will be open up, but it's important that you have a plan put in place to help you to become financially secure. So I don't want anybody thinking, all flash, no cash, looking successful but not successful. Make a commitment to do it the right way. Be a good steward of the blessings that you have received, and then you can go out and bless others. Very thankful, very glad to be able to share all this with you. I hope it makes a lot of sense. I'm excited for you. I'm excited about what God's going to do in your life. Make a commitment. Have fun. Enjoy yourself. I'll see you next time, and remember that every day is a gift from God. Whatever you do with this day is your gift back to God. Make it an awesome one. Be a blessing. I'll see you next time. RMS Sales Training and Inspiration.